Chapter: Weena's Farewell. The towering cities faded into view, their hum and pulse a stark contrast to the tranquility Weena had known in her own time. As the time machine came to a gentle halt, Holmes and Watson stepped out first, their sharp eyes taking in the industrial skyline. Wells followed, guiding Weena with a steady hand. Though her expression betrayed awe and curiosity, there was also a faint shadow of unease. "This," Wells began, addressing Weena, "is not your time, but it is where the threads of history that shaped your world begin to fray." Holmes observed the bustling streets, the ceaseless machinery, the flicker of invention and toil. "The seeds of division are here," he remarked. "You can see it in the contrast between progress above and the shadows below." Watson turned to Weena, his voice warm but somber. "Weena, this is not a place for you, but it is important to understand the choices that led to your time, to your world." Weena nodded slowly, her delicate features resolute. She looked to the towering spires, then to the shadows, as though glimpsing the future through the lens of the past. "Sad, but Weena, understand now." Wells stepped forward, his gaze steady. "The time machine is ready to take you home, Weena. It will be a bittersweet parting, but you belong among your people, where your kindness and hope are needed most." Weena hesitated for a moment, her bright eyes searching Watson's face. "Thank you, friend. Weena not forget." Watson knelt beside her, his expression filled with affection. "We'll never forget you either, Weena. You've taught us more than you could imagine." Holmes tipped his hat to Weena. "Farewell, Miss Weena. Your courage and grace are a testament to the resilience of humanity, even in the face of division." With a deliberate pull of the activation lever, Wells guided Weena into the swirling portal. The light and energy enveloped them, the passage between eras a breathtaking kaleidoscope. Moments later, Holmes and Watson stood alone in the bustling streets of the industrial age, the hum of the time machine fading as Wells escorted Weena back to her fractured yet tranquil time. Holmes straightened his coat, his mind already racing with thoughts. "Watson, we have witnessed both the zenith and nadir of humanity. It is time we returned to London and prepared for what lies ahead." Chapter: The Journey Home. The time machine hummed with life as Wells made the final adjustments to its controls. Holmes stood nearby, his analytical gaze fixed on the dials and levers, committing every detail to memory. Watson, meanwhile, arranged his medical bag with meticulous care, his thoughts divided between the incredible journey they had experienced and the promise of returning to familiar ground. Weena watched silently from a distance, her expression a mix of curiosity and sadness. She stepped forward hesitantly, her delicate fingers clutching the bouquet of alien flowers she had given Watson earlier. "Friends leave now?" Wells turned to her, his voice gentle. "Yes, Weena. They must return to their own time, but I promise this will not be goodbye forever." Watson knelt beside Weena, his kind eyes meeting hers. "You've given us so much, Weena, more than you may ever know. But our lives are tied to our own time, and we must return to it." Holmes, ever the pragmatist, interrupted. "Mr. Wells, I trust the machine is prepared for a safe and accurate journey?" "Indeed it is," Wells replied confidently. "The coordinates are set to London, 1901, the exact moment you departed." Holmes inspected the dials one last time, nodding in approval. "Then let us proceed without further delay. Time, as always, waits for no one." With measured steps, Holmes and Watson entered the time machine, followed by Wells. The interior was a marvel of engineering, with glowing panels and intricate mechanisms that seemed almost alive. Holmes studied the layout intently, his mind racing with possibilities. As the portal began to activate, Weena reached out, her voice trembling. "Goodbye, friends." Watson smiled warmly, his voice reassuring. "Goodbye, Weena. Perhaps someday our paths will cross again." The transition was swift and breathtaking. A kaleidoscope of light and energy enveloped them as the machine moved through the corridors of time. Moments blurred together, each one a fleeting glimpse of history's tapestry. Holmes and Watson exchanged glances, their expressions reflecting the gravity of the experience. When the machine finally came to a halt, the hum of its mechanisms faded into silence. The doors opened, revealing the familiar surroundings of 221 B. Baker Street. The gas lights flickered outside, and the scent of London's streets filled the air. Holmes stepped out, his sharp eyes scanning the room for any sign of change. "Precisely as we left it," he remarked. "The journey appears to have been successful." Watson followed, his heart lightened by the return to familiarity. "It feels as though we've been gone for an age, Holmes, and yet everything here remains unchanged." Wells emerged last, his expression one of quiet satisfaction. "And so, our adventure comes to an end. But remember, gentlemen, the lessons we have learned, from the past, the present, and the future, are timeless." Chapter: A Brief Sojourn. As the time machine roared to life once more, Wells turned to Holmes and Watson with an unexpected suggestion. "Before we return to London, I believe a brief detour to the past could offer unique insights. The lessons of history often illuminate the path forward." Holmes's eyes narrowed, intrigued. "And where precisely do you propose we land, Mr. Wells?" "A time of significance," Wells replied, adjusting the dials carefully. "A moment that shaped the foundation of the world you know today. Let us visit the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, a time that foretold the splendor and struggles of Weena's future." Watson glanced at Holmes, his curiosity piqued. "It sounds fascinating. What do you think, Holmes?" Holmes tipped his hat slightly, a rare trace of amusement in his expression. "I think it would be foolish to decline such an opportunity. Proceed." With the coordinates set, the time machine plunged through the corridors of time, its hum resonating like the pulse of history itself. Moments later, the travelers found themselves in a bustling cityscape, London, circa 1820. The air was thick with the scent of coal and the clang of metal on metal, a cacophony of industry and progress. They emerged into a busy street lined with factories, where soot-covered workers toiled tirelessly under the watchful gaze of foremen. Holmes observed the scene with sharp interest, noting the contrast between the grandeur of the factory owners' offices and the grim reality of the laborers' lives. "An era of great advancement," he remarked, "but also one of profound inequality. The seeds of division are sown here, much like in Weena's time." Watson nodded, his eyes tracing the weary faces of the workers. "It's as though humanity is caught in an endless cycle of progress and hardship." As they moved through the streets, they encountered figures who embodied the spirit of the age. A young inventor showcasing his designs, a suffragette rallying for equality, and a philosopher debating the ethics of industrialization. Each interaction added depth to their understanding of the era's complexities. Wells spoke with a tone of reverence. "This time is pivotal. It is the crucible from which modern society was forged. And yet, its lessons were not fully learned, leading to the future we saw." Holmes paused before a grand factory, his mind racing with thoughts. "The past and future are bound together, each shaping the other. This visit has offered invaluable perspective." The chapter concludes as the travelers prepare to depart, their brief but poignant glimpse into the past leaving a lasting impression.